All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about real music, another sad day in the world of classic rock, and doing what I do in real time for a few real people just like you and just like me. So, a couple of my pet peeves here in this particular episode, as the world has lost another lead singer. His name is Paul Mario Day. He was the original lead singer for the band Iron Maiden. Think of him as like what Dave Evans was to AC/DC, Paul Mario Day is to Iron Maiden. He passed away at the age of 69. All right. So definitely not that old. Day's death was revealed in a tribute posted on the Sweet Facebook page, as he was a member of the band Sweet starting in 1985. It says here that he passed away peacefully at his home in Australia. Originally, he was from the UK, and he was in Iron Maiden from December 1975 to October of 1976. Now, my first pet peeve here is the fact that this is, of course, being reported on a classic rock radio station website. And the song they're currently playing is Jeremy by Pearl Jam. You can't make this stuff up. Do they play any Iron Maiden on 93.9 FM? Nope, they don't. They could play Flight of Icarus. They could play The Trooper. They could find other tracks. By the way, Flight of Icarus, if you go back and look through the archives, that was in the top 10 at mainstream rock. And the only relative, the only offspring of mainstream rock from the 1980s is classic rock. All right. Technically, too, I don't know why you couldn't play Iron Maiden on a mainstream rock station today. Image wise, sound wise, they certainly would qualify. Anyway, Paul Mario Day was in Iron Maiden prior to them becoming a big success, much like Dave Evans, like I said, was in AC/DC. Um, but Andy Scott, who is still around, has basically paid tribute to the late singer, saying this: in 1985, Mick Tucker and myself put together the first new lineup of Sweet after the hiatus of the original band. We needed a singer, and when Paul arrived for the audition, we looked no further. Day toured Australia and Europe with Sweet and appeared on the band's 1989 live album and DVD, Live at the Marquee, with Scott noting Day's vocals have stood the test of time. Day was the lead singer, like I said, for Iron Maiden from December of 1975 to October of 76 before he was replaced by Dennis Wilcock. He went on to form the British heavy metal band More before joining Sweet. Now, again, I don't know if this radio, I guess this radio station probably plays Sweet, or as some people like to call them, The Sweet. But they don't play any Iron Maiden for sure. Now, that's one pet peeve. This turbo cancer that's everywhere, and it doesn't say in this article what Day passed away from, but I've read some other things that he apparently had been battling cancer for a number of years. I guess privately, or maybe not so privately. I don't know. But, with all the AI technology out here now, it can write a book for you. Hey, AI, do this for me. Okay. So you mean to tell me that the medical community can't start to use AI to help target cancer, to figure out how to defeat a cancer cell? It's just weird to me. It's weird that this stuff still is like, hey, chemotherapy, and then we'll have to cut out the rest of it, or I don't know. It seems pretty primitive and barbaric. And of course, the elephant in the room, this battle with cancer, which apparently had been going on behind the scenes for quote unquote a few years. All right. It's the middle of 2025. If you go back a few years, all right, say you go back 3 or 4 years, what was going on 3 or 4 years ago? And I'm never going to let this go, people. If people are wanting me to stop, no, it's not gonna happen. Um, can you blame everything on that? No, but it's interesting. People who had conditions already, or maybe their cancer or their illness was dormant, maybe their heart disease wasn't a thing, and then all of a sudden, I mentioned the term Kellogg's 19, and somebody wanted to know what that meant. Just focus on the 19, all right? Focus on the 19. It's pretty easy to figure out. But I'm not saying that this is definitely a thing here with Paul Mario Day, but everybody was told, and by the way, if he's living in Australia, that was like a concentration camp for that stuff. I mean, they're basically rounding people up. You have to do this. And so I feel for the people in Australia. I know people still send me messages. Well, I did it and I'm fine. One professional person who reached out to me said, if they say that after 10 years to you, then they're probably in the clear. After 10 years. So you're looking at what? 2031, depending on when you did it. 2032. So, yeah, let me know and I'll say, hey, congratulations. You had special genes, or your body was very strong to resist and to fend that off. I know several people in the business, in the rock business, who have done some serious detox. And it's not the kind you do after, alcoholism. All right. This is something completely different. Anyway, folks, so a couple of pet peeves that I wanted to talk about. Number one, classic rock talking about things that they aren't really involved in, like this band, Iron Maiden, and they should be. By the way, they're now playing Stained in the song Outside. All right. So I'm looking at their website, and they were playing Pearl Jam, and now they're playing Stained. Folks, we need a new classic rock revival. We need a new network of radio stations that play actual classic rock and play variety on top of it. And it's just, I don't think that's not going to happen, right? It's probably never going to happen unless you have independent, small ownership of these radio stations. But you're losing a whole bunch of people who have tons of disposable income. You're losing those people. I know. They're going to Spotify or they're going to Sirius XM satellite radio, and that is kind of the solution to this. But it's just a shame that a once great medium has now been reduced to silliness. It's just silly. I mean, who's programming these stations? I mean, do they even understand what classic rock is? My guess is probably not. But I can tell you at this stage, I think Iron Maiden qualifies. You want to call them hard rock or heavy metal? Fine. But they're classic rock, and they should be in a format like what I'm talking about here. So, in any event, folks, I'll just say rest in peace to this singer who was in this great band briefly back in the 70s and certainly deserves some recognition. But there are larger questions that need to be answered, and they probably won't be anytime soon.